It's actually a relatively small fraction. Now we're seeing what it really is. 37% of properties in Manhattan, no one knows who the fuck owns them. That's 40% of the city. No one has any clue who owns them because they're owned by secretive shell corporations. Now, you might say, for example, why would people buy with a secretive corporation? Is there any logical reason for it? Yes, I've done it because you want privacy. I don't want people showing up to my house trying to kill me because they found out where so people that are known people use shell corporations. Absolutely, because they don't want people to know where they live. I'm one of those people. I don't want you to know where I live.
I don't even
You're
want
all
the
crazy.
Coop, but people want the
And
Coop.
if you're all not crazy, if
Coop.
one of you is crazy, that's enough. So I don't want you to know where I live. If I was a regular person, a finance person, and I made money and nobody knew who I was, I wouldn't care. So there's a legitimate reason to use a shell code. Now, if you were really determined to kill me, I have. You can come kill me wherever because I advertise where I'm going to be publicly. But there's a lot of people, whatever degree of privacy they're looking for, you have a shell code. But most of this isn't that. That might account for 0.5% of the 37%, maybe 0.25%.
What do you see?
The vast majority of these people,
What do you see right there?
are trying to hide the fact that they own property in New York. A lot of this property is empty. Why in New York City do you walk down a street like Billionaires Row and there's no lights on any of the buildings? Because no one lives there. They don't rent any of these properties out. All of these properties are essentially banks. They're a store of value for somebody's money, and it's usually ill-gotten gains. A lot of it's illegal money. Some of it isn't. But who does that help? It's a great question. Who does it help if billionaires from all over the world just buy real estate in New York City? Well, Michael Bloomberg, billionaire who ran New York City, was quoted as saying, "We want all the world's billionaires." Why wouldn't we want the richest people in the world to launder their money in New York? After all, maybe they'll spend a week or two a year in New York City. They'll go to a restaurant or two. Maybe they'll stash their kid at NYU or Columbia. Why wouldn't we want that? It's a global city. It's part of New York City's character. Why wouldn't we want the wealthiest people in the world to use New York City as a vertical money laundering scheme where they purchase large amounts of real estate and drive the cost of real estate up for people that actually live in New York, people that actually live there? But this, again, is the promise of globalization. This is the great promise of globalization, that money can cross borders, people can cross borders. You have an endless supply of labor if you want. You have an endless supply of capital. It can go all over the world. It's a free market. Everything's free. There's no tariffs. Goods are moving, services, people. Why shouldn't people be able to come into a city, buy all the real estate, make all the buildings empty, and then drive the cost up so that no one can afford to live there? It's a great idea. This was the idea that we all grew up with. The magical idea of globalization. The magical idea that the entire world was going to be flat, like Thomas Friedman said at the New York Times, everybody was going to be happy. And there's not going to be any more wars.
I like this car.
It won't be wars anymore because we're going to live in a globalized, interconnected world where, because of the internet, everybody's going to be able to fight it out online. So there'll be no more wars. Well, how'd that work out? How'd that work out for everybody in Gaza? Do they feel like there's no more wars? But this was the promise of the global system. The idea that we had to take in people, and Trump's even saying now we have to do, from China, the H-1B visas. They got to come in. We got to have people come in from India because we don't have those skills in America. Well, whose idea was it to not build those skills in America? Whose idea was it to bring people in from China and India that can do the tech jobs that we're not training Americans to do? I had an argument with my aunt this summer about immigration. And I said, well, legal immigration also is something that should be regulated and maybe curtailed. And she goes, well, who's going to be your doctor? She goes, my doctor's from Pakistan. Are we importing all of our doctors from Pakistan?
dork going off.
Does that
this
make any
year.
sense
Good
to
for
anyone
him.
that in the United States of America, we somehow are not creating doctors? We're not training people that grew up here to be doctors?
It's a Mav.
And we're bringing people in from Pakistan to be... Isn't
45th
Pakistan a
anniversary.
dysfunctional society, to be quite honest? Is the idea that the United States of America, that every one of our children
Not
wants
the
to
Mav
flick
we
their
all
bean on
want. Is it?
OnlyFans?
This dude, look at him.
And instead of
fucking
becoming
monster.
a doctor, and that we have to bring in doctors from
Looks like a Pokemon.
Pakistan, a country that we suspected that was harboring the fugitives from 9/11? Does that make any sense to anybody? It does to Jennifer Welch. It does to a lot of these wine mom drunk white liberals that think it's so great. They love, as brilliant Rachel Feinstein, the comedian, says, her mother likes pronouncing the names in the back of a taxi.
Ooh, I got me a coupe.
But does this make any sense to anybody? And my aunt says this sitting on my couch. She has children. Some of them are doing great. Others are getting by. They're doing fine. They're not bad people. But they're not killing it. They're not crushing it.
Oh,
And she's
a
excited
young
about
Mallow.
bringing in
Look
doctors
at
from
him.
Pakistan. That's what boomers would rather do. Boomers would rather bring in doctors from Pakistan while their own children die on the street. That is
dope.
generally what they would rather do.
Manu,
To
young
prove
Manu.
the point
Oh my God.
that they are good people, they would rather bring in
never-
doctors from war-torn third world countries than try to figure out how to get people in the United States of America to be doctors.
Couple.
It's the craziest thing I've
But
ever heard.
young Manu.
This is the craziest way to run a
Ended up with one
society.
coupe down there.
To let Chinese amusement park tycoons
I like it.
and Russian fertilizer